So
Hearing now.
I ended up being medically discharged with complex post-traumatic stress disorder and moral injury syndrome. And bizarrely, for most service personnel, mine didn't actually come from combat. Combat wasn't a problem. I was trained to do it. I knew how to
Oh,
handle it. My final operational tour was what was called Operation Gridlock. I was sent out to Sierra Leone to try and eradicate the Ebola virus. And I was not trained for that. And I was not trained to see what I saw out there. We called it the zombie apocalypse. I was literally watching these beautiful people dissolve from the inside out. Fatality rate when I arrived in Kono. So if you've ever seen the movie Blood Diamond, that is where I
love it.
was based. That is where I was based. I was based in Kono. The fatality rate was 100%. Anybody with a virus would die the most horrific death you can imagine. And we were losing between 300 and 500 people a week. And my brain couldn't cope because I was not saving these people's lives. And it destroyed me, and hence I could no longer command again. That's what happened. So I went through my medical discharge, and then unfortunately, we all went through COVID, and we went into the COVID lockdowns. Now you can imagine going through COVID and the lockdowns. Instantly, I'm flashing back to everything that happened back in Ebola. I'm constantly reminded every single day of what is happening. And then this beautiful
Oh,
charity out there called Project Recce. Project Recce's mission is to enable veterans to find secure employment in the construction industry. Anything from um, a labourer all the way to being a chief financial officer, one of the major construction multinationals. The construction industry stopped during COVID, and all these guys were really, really struggling. So they ended up setting up this little well-being course of what we're going to do is we'll do this course online via Zoom and teach stand-up comedy by a beautiful guy called Jay Sodegar, if you've ever heard of him. Jay works very closely with Laughing Horse Comedy. He's their main tutor. We did the course. I had no interest in getting on the stage. And they said, right, the first show we're going to do via Zoom. We're going to do a gig via Zoom. I did it, did my 5 minute set, and I got addicted. I suddenly realized there was a part of myself that was still allowed to be creative. And then once we came out of lockdown at the end of 2021, I did my first live gig, and I suddenly found a peace in my PTSD and moral injury syndrome I'd not been able to find before. I hate compliments. Most veterans hate compliments, but the one compliment I can take is when somebody laughs at a joke I tell them. And that's why I just went, I'm finding recovery out of this. Turned around to Project Recce and went, I'm willing to lead the team. I've been leading it now for very nearly 6 years. And last year we took 2 shows to the Edinburgh Festival Fringe. We got great audiences and we managed to raise the charity nearly 5 grand at Edinburgh. And
whoa.
anybody that goes to Edinburgh that can make money, that's rare. So it was something spectacular we did there.
But a lot of, and this is going to be honest and a bit brutal and maybe not nice what I'm going to say here, but uh, you're doing something that's actually meaningful and does a lot for society and people. And people are like, I'm going to go in there because it means a lot and it's a great deal. There's a lot of shows that
Yeah.
go on in Edinburgh where it's all about the vanity, about that comic getting awards or making
Yeah.
themselves. And
Yes.
but you're doing something that impacts the world, does something to people, and it deserves everything it gets in a good way.
Yeah, and I think that was the big hook. Whenever we do something with Project Comedy, whenever when we were in Edinburgh, I think that was an amazing hook for people. As number one, we're going to go and have a good laugh. The main thing is everybody that's in Project Comedy is a comedian. That's their only mission is make people laugh. But they can go and have a laugh and support something worthwhile that's helping other people recover. That was an amazing hook to get people through the door and
Whoa.
for their donation.
Did you get a lot of people from the armed services coming? And did you get a lot of people saying, thank you for doing this? I remembered this. This has really done a lot of good for me.
Yeah, and that was a struggle for a lot of the guys. Having veterans in the room or serving members in the room, that wasn't a problem because we knew we could play with them. It was when we came out the door and they're actually giving us money and going, thank you for your service. And that was so powerful and that was so helpful. That really made the guys uncomfortable, but they had to take it. And I was saying to them, this is one of the most valuable lessons you will get about being a civilian now. You've been promoted to a civilian.